Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by brilliance. What's up, Internet? That's me. I'm a gangster. Hey, welcome to another episode of Surrounded by Brilliance podcast. I'm host, founder, curator, man of the hour, Josh Will. Big fan of myself. Surrounded by Brilliance podcast was created to bring together like-minded people who don't get offended by much and who are annoyed by most things. Like me. It's a podcast where humor, levity, and some serious discussion will give you a glimpse into the inner workings of my brain, a self-proclaimed get-off-my-lawn guy. You'll hear some funny stories, some stupid concepts, and a whole lot more from some really interesting people, and definitely some not-so-interesting people. Which it leads to a great segue to our next guest, Mr. Jeff Kalmbach. How are you doing, Jeffrey?
I'm great, Josh. How's it going tonight?
It's going well. It's going well. Let me tell the listeners at home about you. Jeff Kalmbach is the guest. He is a husband and a father of two. He's an avid guitar player and music lover. He enjoys the outdoors, hunting, fishing, and sitting by campfires, singing Kumbaya. I added that part. He's worked in banking for his entire career, and this is where Jeff and I met. Well, almost 15 years ago. I think I'm rounding up, but that's what it is. So
close enough.
That's Jeffrey Kalmbach in a nutshell. You're going to learn way more about him than that. So there it is, Jeff. How are things going with you? What anything fun or exciting going on in your life right now?
Oh boy, yeah. My daughter is she just graduated last week from Portage Northern, and so everything now for the next several weeks is just getting ready for the grad party, which I think you and Tony are invited to. So hope to see you there.
Yes.
But no, it's just basically it's been a lot of just kind of prepping for that, for that milestone. And now that she's 18 and graduated, she thinks she can do anything she wants to. So that's been not without its challenges.
It's got the world by the balls, but probably doesn't even know how to balance a checkbook, right?
Right. Yep, exactly right. So no, that's been about it. It's been a busy year so far, and just kind of getting past this milestone is the next hurdle to get over.
So do you find yourself, and I'll preface this, I know that you love your daughter and you love your son and you love your wife, but do you and Nicole find yourselves being like, all right, one down, one to go, countdown to empty nest?
Yep. One more year. Will is a junior, and he is, he's only got one more year. So it'll be after that. We'll see where things go. It'll be uncharted territory.
Well, yeah, because Chloe, technically, she graduates in 2 days because theirs is, it's on Thursday. But she's the last one. Now she'll live at home for a couple more years, but it's there is light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to empty nesting. If you're listening, we love our kids, but you get it. You should get it. If you don't get it, we don't care, because that's what this podcast is about. It's our opinion.
Did you say she's this year or next year?
No, she graduated, so she's the same age.
Okay. Yeah.
She's the same age. Yeah. So.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So you briefly touched on it, but how do we know each other? So share with the listeners how you and I know one another.
Yeah, so you and I used to work at the same bank. I'll leave their name out of it. Seems appropriate, given our tenure there and the experiences we went through. But no, you and I, well, that was pretty good, right? I mean, you and I met there through one of our joint colleagues. I think we met at Jack's one night after work, and a bunch of us went out for some drinks and some food, and I think I met you there. So, and then from there, we were colleagues. We kind of bounced things off each other, and we're able to vent to one another when things were going in a certain direction, and saw each other at meetings and stuff like that. And yeah, we became friends. We hunt together, we fish together, and do boating stuff and hang out. And so yeah, so no, we've known. I think you're right. It's been 12, 13, 14ish years or
Yeah,
so. It's been a
almost
while.
14 years. I think because you said 2012, and I think it might, man, 2012 is probably right. So we'll say 13 years,
Hmm.
but yeah, all good stuff. And we do all those things. I remember the first time that I was single at the time. Obviously, I'm married now, but way back when you invited me over to the very first time you invited me over to your place. So I used to be really into bodybuilding. I used to be much more svelte, leaner, skinnier. I still
I
work out,
remember. I remember that too.
but I'm not that guy. I'm not super skinny and I don't have abs. But I remember I was at your house and like you're in the bodybuilding community, you do these bodybuilding shows, and I only did two. I'm not like super. Oh, this guy's really into it. But you like shave your body hair, and um, that's when I first shaved. Like I'd shave my arms and stuff, and after I did that, I'm like, boy, I like the way this looks better. And I still shave my arms and my legs to this day. But had my legs shaved, and we're sitting there having a few drinks, and your buddies are there who I've just met for the first time. And somebody must have said something to you, but all of a sudden you came up to me like you didn't want to call me out in front of your buddies, and you're like, hey, you shave your legs? I'm like, yeah, I do.
I don't
So,
remember that.
yeah,
I
I
don't
remember,
remember
and
that
I'm
at
just
all.
like, yeah, I shave my legs. And the funniest part is this: if I were to show you a picture of my legs before I had shaved them, you'd be like, oh yeah, definitely a good choice because I was starting to get to that point where hair was only growing on a certain parts of my legs. 'Cause as you get older, like the follicles or whatever don't grow. So I was like had hairy kneecaps, and that's about
Oh
it.
my
And it
god.
looked so stupid. But anyways, I digress.
So
So yeah,
probably a good thing that you shave all of your legs instead of just letting it grow patchy and have kneecap hair.
yeah, it's not very attractive at all. I yeah. So it was a good call by me. But
Yeah, it definitely sounds that way.
so why did you agree to be on this podcast?
Well, I watched your first one. I listened to your first one with your buddy Brandon, who I just met recently for the first time. We went pheasant hunting a couple months back.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought, I reached out to you and I was like, hey, man, this looks really cool. This is awesome. Like, good for you. I know Tony's had her podcast. I think she's got at least one that I'm aware of. I know she's always got several irons in the fire, so maybe there's more in the works. I don't know. But no, I mean, I think it's cool that you're doing this, and it's just kind of a fun platform to get together and just kind of chit chat and shoot the breeze. And I thought it was cool, so I reached out to you, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have you on." And I'm like, "Oh, cool!" Like I wasn't expecting to, but I'll be happy to join.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and we always have a good time. We get together, so it was a no brainer for me.
Well, I'm glad that you agreed to be a part of the podcast and come on because you just you kind of summed it up, right? Like this, I'm having so much fun doing this, and if I am people are listening to it because I'm getting texts from friends and family members, and they're like, "Oh man, keep them coming! It's funny," or "that this is cool," or "this reminds me of back in high school," or just whatever. So I'm having fun with it, and that's all that matters to me. And if other people are getting some entertainment out of it, that was my goal because part of this is some of the things that we do on this podcast is just connecting with friends and talking about things that other people feel the same way, but they may not always want to say it out loud. And that's kind
Mhm.
of some of the stuff that we talk about on here. So, which is kind of a good little transition into my last question for you, which is a leading question. But when you hear the phrase "get off my lawn," what does that mean to you?
I mean, the first thing that I think of, and I can't remember if it was Brandon or whoever said this, but the first thing I think of is the Clint Eastwood movie Gran Torino from all those years ago, and it was very prevalent in that movie. He's a grumpy old man, and I think he said that line in the movie a few times, and that just kind of sums up the attitude, I think, when normal people like yourself and me are inconvenienced by people who um, lack self-awareness. So,
You're being very nice and very correct, politically correct. It's when
mhm.
people are stupid, Jeff. I'll say it. You don't have to. I will take that bullet, my friend.
All
Uh,
right,
but,
fair enough.
but yeah, that's a great example. And actually, I don't know that it wasn't Brandon. It was me because I did my Clint Eastwood impression. I get off my lawn.
Oh
That
yeah, yeah, that's right,
and I
that's right.
and I asked Brandon what he thought of it, and he said, "Oh, it's not bad."
Yeah, it
So.
needs a little work, but that's all right.
So that's a great transition into our kind of our next segment, which I like to call the "Surrounded by Brilliance, Get Off My Lawn" segment. So just a brief little some context. I've been creating this list, compiling these situations that I've come across for years of situations where something annoys me, or I get frustrated with it, or I kind of it's one of those situations where you tilt your head and you're like, "What are we doing?" Right?
You actually have a written down list that
Oh
you
yeah,
keep.
absolutely. It's
Okay,
compiling. Like I literally added two to it before we got on the podcast.
interesting.
But I've been compiling this list of what I deem get off my lawn moments because the outside world would say, "Oh, he's just a grumpy old man." But then there's this segment of the universe that's like, he might be a grumpy old man, but he is freaking right.
Hmm.
So, but there are these situations that annoy me, and you know, uh, Tony tells me all the time. She's like, "You're like a 44-year-old man with the 80-year-old mindset," which I take as an ultimate compliment. So, we're going to talk
Well,
about some of those moments. I'm going to share one of my many moments, and then I'm gonna let Jeff share one of his, and we're going to have a little spin on some of these too. So here's my particular get off my lawn moment for this episode. I've got many of them, but this is only a 35-minute ish show, so I have to be cognizant of that. People who don't know how to load a dishwasher properly.
ooh,
Okay, I
yeah.
mean, look, this may seem inconsequential to some people listening here, but if you have teenagers that have grown up in your home, and I've seen it not just from teenagers, but that's my experience. Uh, they, you can explain to blue in the face. You can even put a diagram up there and say, "Look, it's clear. Plates go here, silverware goes here,
Hmm.
cups go up here. You know, and when you put the silverware in, and I'm right here, if anyone's going to argue, silverware down. You don't ever put the sharp part up.
Oh,
I know.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I've heard people argue over this, but or and then you got the top slide out part. People will put cups straight up. You got to put the cup at an angle so the slide out part can come where you put the
Mhm.
other things. But they just don't. I open that thing up sometimes, and clearly I know that myself or Tony hasn't loaded it. Um, and I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like,
Hmm.
what are we doing? So I know it might seem,
Can I interrupt you for a second and
oh,
say,
absolutely.
you're a step ahead of most because my kids' dishes don't even get into the dishwasher. I mean, they're left in the sink, and I've had this discussion for years and years, repeatedly. And anyway, so hey, you're doing a little bit better than some. So
Oh, well, let's take a step back. Uh, I mean, I guarantee you, and I can tell you confidently that the none of these things, these dishes have been washed off.
oh, okay.
So it's something in there. It dries, and then the dishwasher doesn't get it cleaned, and then the dishwasher gets emptied, and people don't look. They put the stuff up in the cabinet. Josh goes to grab a bowl the next day. Bunch of dried shit in it. Okay.
So let me. I think I know the answer to this, but let me ask you: which side of the fence do you fall on? Do you scrub every dish before it goes in the dishwasher, or do you put them in there dirty and like with crusted stuff on them, hoping that the dishwasher is going to work the way it should and clean all that crap off of it?
Well, as we're gyrating through this conversation, I needed to
Hmm.
get the word gyrate in there. I myself may be guilty sometimes of not actually rinsing it as best I can.
Okay.
That said, I'm not scrubbing everything, but I will typically at least give it a little spray down so it goes into the dishwasher moist, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, that's
Because look, that dishwasher is airtight, so you put something in there moist, if it's going to get cleaned off in the next, if you're going to run that dishwasher in the next day, because there's so much humidity in there, that
mhm.
moisture should still
Yeah,
remain.
you're good. You're
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
But anyways, so that's my get off my lawn moment. Now, because this podcast is not just about complaining and being get off my lawn guys. We like to bring this whole segment full circle. And what I ask each person, myself included, and my guest, how could you make your get off my lawn scenario positive? Or
Mm.
what's a positive spin you could put on it? So, my positive spin for people who don't know how to load a dishwasher properly would be um, this is a tough one. I don't know
It's
how I make it.
education. It's a teaching moment. I think we used to say that back in the banking days. Like these are teachable moments right here.
Yeah, the teachable moment thing has long passed because I've
That ship
tried to
has
teach
sailed.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that ship,
I get that. I was trying to
ship
help
has
you
sailed.
out, but
So
yeah.
the positive I would take from this is uh, I need to now I need to recognize, hey, Josh, I just admitted that I sometimes don't completely clean the bowl off or the dish off as best I can. So what I should do is so that I am not a hypocrite, the positive is this is reinforcement for me to be like, this is out there in the world now, Josh. People are listening to you complain about this. The last thing you can do is put something in the dishwasher, not at least rinsed off. So this positive would be making myself accountable. That'd be
Yeah,
my
yeah,
positive.
yeah. I
So
was gonna say that. Wow, this is you're
it's
learning so much
growth.
about yourself as you're venturing through these episodes.
There is a
So
there. I'm learning very quickly that uh, the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast does have a therapeutic component for oneself. So
I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
and
You seem different.
I, God, clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. I think that's right. All right,
Mhm.
Jeffrey, what's your get off my lawn moment, idea, scenario, or what?
Well, so mine, I've got a couple different examples because there's different levels here, but I'm just going to sum it all up and say phone etiquette in public. Okay.
Oh, this is a new one. I like it.
Yeah. So, gosh, I got so many different examples that kind of fold into that there, but people, I was traveling a lot for work because I work for the state, and I was traveling a lot for work over the first year that I was there, and so I was traveling to Washington D.C. and airports, man, holy cow, airports. That's the place where there's no privacy, and people do not care about who's around them, and they're just gonna sit there. They're talking on speaker phones.
Oh,
They're talking like they're in the privacy and comfort of their own homes. um People have their ringers turned up loud, and everybody's just oblivious. Like nobody cares about anybody else at airports, especially. So like I said, kind of summing it up for me, it's phone etiquette. Like when I get a phone call, depending on where I'm at, like I will excuse myself, I'll find a private space, have a nice quiet conversation, make sure whatever the conversation's about is taken care of and such. But I'm not going to sit there and do that in public with everybody else potentially listening to me. That's just me. A lot of people don't care, but me, I do. And I try to be courteous. Unfortunately, that courtesy doesn't always translate to everybody else that's around me. But no, that's a big thing for me, man. It annoys the hell out of me a lot too. Especially, and let's face it, like our elderly people who don't know how to use their phones or sometimes can't do it.
oh,
Or
shot
sometimes,
off the bow on old people.
well,
Jeez.
hey, I mean, I'm gonna be there too someday, and I'm gonna be asking my kids for how to use the latest technology and such, like these people are, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
But like doctor's offices, man, and like somebody's looking around, like the phone's ringing, and it's like, it's loud. It's like, why don't you answer your phone? No, they're just gonna let it keep ringing. Cool. All right, great. There's nobody else around you this is bothering. So no, that kind of stuff
Uh,
for me, that kind of stuff for me that just really, really gets under my skin and really irritates me. In fact, I got a great story from one of my travels to Washington D.C. I want to share too. So this was really interesting. Traveling to Washington D.C. last July, and I was supposed to be coming home, and I got stranded at the Reagan International Airport because of the CrowdStrike thing that happened
oh
that
yeah, yeah.
affected all the banks and the airlines and made all the screens go black, right? So I'm stuck at the airport for better part of 24 or 30 hours, whatever it was. It was a while, but during that course of time, it was in line trying to figure out how am I going to get out of here. And there was this young lady behind me, and she's probably early 20s, and she's behind me in line, and I'm kind of talking to her. I'm just like, yeah, no, this kind of sucks, doesn't it? And blah blah blah. And where are you trying to go to? And oh, I'm trying to get to this place, and I'm trying to get to that place. And all of a sudden, she gets a phone call, right? And all of a sudden, the switch flips, and it is, and the way this young lady is talking, she's like, yeah, that's right. I banged her man. I'll bang her man again. I'll do all this stuff, and I'm like, what the heck? And this is carrying on for like 10 minutes. I mean, it's just a barrage of profanity and all sorts of inappropriate talk in a line, mind you, that we're standing for like 2 hours. And again, her call was about 10 minutes, but I mean, she's just going off. And then, she hangs up her phone call, and then she kind of sidles back up to me. She's like, geez, this line's really not moving much, huh? And I'm like, what? Like, who are you? Like, I mean, I thought it was pretty funny, but that was one that was just really interesting. I mean, hey, it killed some time, and you get to see who people really are, I guess. So
Yeah, once she got on the phone, she let the toothpaste out of the tube, and you're not putting that back in. She just flips it back. So,
yeah,
well,
yeah, and
so
I'm giving you the very sanitized version of that, but yeah,
that's
you can kind
fine.
of use
You
your
don't have to.
imagination.
You don't have to keep it sanitized, but we appreciate it for the 6 and 7 year olds at home listening. Um, Great story, and I wanted to touch back on one of the things that you said. So I too get frustrated with phone etiquette. One of the big thing I relate with you on is people who take calls in public on speakerphone.
Hmm.
Like I sometimes I have to give my wife grief on this. I'll be like, I'm sitting here. I'm. What are you doing?
Uh-huh.
She just loves to do it, right? It annoys me. Now, there are studies that are being done where they're making the argument for why people who do that are more beneficial because there's so many like I don't know what these different electromagnetic waves that are in phones. So the
Eh,
further you keep it away from you, the less chance you have of constantly absorbing those. And like, oh, don't have your phone in your pocket if you're a guy because it's gonna zap your balls eventually
right.
over time. And if you're, anyways. So I'm digressing a lot, but good news. I can do that because I can do whatever I want because this is a
Right.
Surrounded by Brilliance podcast. But
Yeah,
anyways,
no, like
I'm
that
with you.
that's terrible too. And to kind of piggyback on that is the people who like say at a restaurant, right? And they're listening to like, they're watching a YouTube clip or something, or they've got, in some cases they've got a song on. And it's like I can hear like I'm here to have dinner, I'm here to enjoy time with my family, my kids. I don't want to listen to this YouTube clip that you're watching, right? So like that kind of thing, and it probably seems very insignificant to a lot of people, but like you, I'm also a get off my lawn guy, and
Yes.
that just bugs the shit out of me. Honestly, I mean, it's like, what are you doing? You're in public. Act, I don't know, and maybe our line of thinking is in the minority these days because most people just don't seem to really care anymore and about who's around them or what they're doing. But anyway, yeah,
Well, in a zombie apocalypse, Jeff, it's guys like us that'll be sticking around. It's those other people. They're gonna get their face eaten off real quick.
yeah,
So
it's classic Darwinism, right? Survival of the fittest.
All right, so I got to ask, how can you turn your frustrations in that get off my lawn scenario? How can you make it a positive or turn it into a positive?
I guess I would say I'm learning a lot about my fellow human beings that I share the planet with. Getting to know them a little bit better, whether I want to or not. It's not really up to me at that point. But no, I mean, you do get to see kind of a different cross section of life especially when I'll use the airport again as the example when you're traveling and just how people operate. And I tend to spend 95% of my time in my little insulated bubble, and you get out and see how other people live, I suppose. So
So the
is
positive
it a
in that
positive? I don't
situation
know.
could be that it makes the heart grow fonder of wanting to be home.
Sure, you could say
Like you
that. Yeah.
appreciate your family and your bubble way more because when you venture out into the that crazy world filled with stupid people, you're like, wow, you know what? I'm cool with being here.
But you also do get to see and experience other people, whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
It's still an education. So
That and there it is, folks. The positive is here. Jeff is educating himself on the human race.
hmm
Boom. I like it.
yep.
Awesome. Well, that was a great get off my lawn segment. Next segment we like to transition into is just kind of some rapid fire questions. If you're an avid listener of this podcast, you're gonna some of these questions might be repeats, but I just think they're real bangers, and I like to hear people's responses to it. So we'll just put this one on the tee and see if you can knock it out of the park. All right, Jeff. So, if we could rewind to when you were 20 years old
Oh boy.
and I told you you had to either give up your looks or your sense of humor for the rest of your life from that point on, which one would you choose to give up and why? And to give you some context, what this means is from a visual looks standpoint, right? This is the most attractive you're ever going to be. It doesn't mean that you instantly become hideous looking, but it means from 20 on, you're not ever going to be any better looking.
hmm
So,
Well, I will give you the answer. I'll give you the reason, and I will admit that I cheated a little bit because I know you asked this one to Brandon, and I think my reasoning is going to probably follow along the same lines as him. Um, I would say give up my looks, and here's why. Right, like my sense of humor, my friend's sense of humor, your sense of humor, all these people that I kind of associate with, like we all have really great senses of humor. And I think if that goes, and that's part of the thing I think that really kind of makes us friends, right? Is that we joke about the same things, we find humor in similar things, and to me, I mean that's really really important. Sorry, I had a thought there and I lost it all of a sudden, but no, I mean I've met people who have like I've met people who are attractive but have like zero personality. Like, I mean, you've met them too. I'm sure
oh
you
yeah.
have, right? And it's like, holy cow, like I feel bad for whoever's married to this person or dating this person because they've got nothing going on inside, like below the surface, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think our senses of humor are incredibly important. That being said, if my looks went away at 20 and I still got my sense of humor, kind of following up with what Brandon said on your first episode, I think if you can make a woman laugh, you're still going to do okay.
Yeah.
And, read between the lines on what I'm saying there, but,
Yeah.
you're still going to be okay if you can make a woman laugh. And that's one thing that I've found to be true during the course of my lifetime.
Yeah. Great answer. And look, spoiler alert, I haven't had anyone answer that question yet the opposite way. And I think it's just because, I mean, when you get down to it, brass tacks, First of all, I'm interviewing intelligent people who have lived some life. They
Obviously,
get it,
yes.
right? So I've yet to have someone answer that differently. Now, I'm sure at some point someone will go the other way because they're trying to because they want to say, "Wow, no one's ever went the other way. I'm going to do this," and I'll probably call bullshit on them. But
Right.
you know, I mean, your looks are going to go anyways at some point, so you might as well at
That's true
least
too.
keep your sense of humor and just hone it, hone the
Yeah.
hell out of that thing.
Have a
So,
personality for the rest of your life, and and like you said, just go with it, right?
all right, great answer. I love the answer. Very good answer. Here's another one. This one is deep. This could be very deep.
All right.
So what's you're in your 40s, right?
Yep.
Okay, we won't say exactly how old, right? We don't want too many people knowing too much about Jeff. So what's one thing 40-something-year-old Jeff would love to go back and tell 25-year-old Jeff if he could?
Um. Wow.
I told you,
Yeah.
thought provoking.
That is a really good one. Tell 25-year-old me. Don't take life so seriously. And I know that sounds like a canned answer,
Yeah, it
but
does. But
well, okay, but let me explain why. So, I come from a long line of chronic worriers,
okay,
from great grandfather to grandfather to father. And that's just a trait that's been passed down from generation to generation. And, cool, I've got it. So, um, to be able to just kind of go through life and be like, you don't have to take it so seriously. You can not worry about this. You can stop, with some of the negative thought patterns and some of those things. And I don't mean to get all deep on you here and all, psychological or whatever, but no, I mean,
awesome.
it would be to really just to not worry. I mean, things are
Yeah.
just going to work out a certain way. I grew up going to church, so I have faith in certain things that
Yeah.
maybe others don't, and just to kind of let go of things that you can't control and just don't worry.
Wow. Great. Look, great answer. And for a couple reasons. I too am well. I don't call myself a worrier, but my wife, my kids, my family will say I worry about stuff. I call myself a what does Tony call it? I'm just my due diligence is she has a name for it, like a fancy name because she's
Hmm.
very smart, but you know her. So, but what I'm getting at is she will listen to this and she'll be like, "Oh, you should take the same advice Jeff is giving his 25-year-old self." And over the years, I've gotten better at it.
Hmm.
Oh, vigilant. I'm hyper vigilant. That's what she
Hyper
says.
vigilant. Well, and I will say this too, because I know that you're a father, as am I, and so it's easier said than done, because there are certain things you're always going to worry about, especially when it comes to your kids, right?
Yeah.
Their health, their safety, their X, Y, and Z. Those things are never going to go away. But some of the other stuff, that's all the extraneous worry that just causes you to stay up at night, it's whatever. So
Well, love the
I just
answer.
wanted to qualify that, since we're
No,
both
there's
fathers.
there's no need to qualify it though. That answer is a great. It shows that this podcast is well rounded. It's not just about get off my lawn
Hmm.
situations. It's about deep thinking, deep deep thoughts with Jeff Kalmbach. Right. So we're gonna loosen it up with this last question, Jeff. So what's more embarrassing, forgetting to put underwear or deodorant on for the day?
Deodorant. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think either of those have happened to me, but I could see myself, making it through a day, without some underwear on than I could deodorant, because I'd constantly be sniffing myself and checking and asking my colleagues, like, hey, do I stink today? Like, you smell that? Is that me? Kind of a thing.
But
I
Jeff,
would be in my own head about it all day, whereas nobody else can detect that I don't have underwear on, right? So
but here's the
there
thing,
you go.
Jeff. You just made the argument for not worrying about the inconsequential things. So what you should do is, whether it's the underwear or the deodorant, you should just take a breath and be like, I'm not wearing deodorant. Who cares?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't have any underwear. Who cares?
it's fine, right?
It's
Hmm.
all gonna be fine.
Exactly right.
All right, so those are the questions I have, but we talked a little bit off air, and it sounds like you had some commentary, whatever, about the intro of this podcast. Did you
Yeah,
want me to
yeah.
give you a minute or two on that? Go for it.
Yeah, no, I was I listened to your podcast a couple days ago, the first episode, and I played the intro song for my son, and I've listened to it a couple times because it's catchy as hell. I like it. I really like it. I will say though, and you said this in the intro, that I do play guitar. I'm a
Yes.
little disappointed you didn't consult with me on trying to come up with something to put a little jingle together. We'll see. Maybe when you hit your 150th episode or some milestone episode, maybe we'll redo
Exactly.
it. I'd be fine with that. But I mean, it is good. But you could have tapped me on the shoulder. I would have helped out. So
You're not wrong.
it might not have turned out as good, but I
Well,
you would have made me feel better.
it
So
would have probably sounded. It would have sounded too like. It would have sounded good, actually, right?
it
Like,
probably sounded like real like '90s alternative, you know,
yeah,
which
you know,
is good.
maybe we try to find a '90s or maybe like a country meets Backstreet Boys vibe or something.
Yeah,
So
we'll work. We can work on that. Yeah, yeah. We'll wood shop that a little bit.
wood shop. We're not wood shopping that one. You know what? Why don't you put together a little jingle on your guitar? Because yes, look, if you're listening to this podcast, Jeff is very musically inclined. For the last several years, I've been saying I want him to teach me how to play guitar, but I drop the ball. I continually drop the ball. I had one lesson with him, and he gave me stuff to practice, and then I
Yeah,
kept.
you even had COVID to practice.
But
We
there's
did your
still
first
time.
lesson before COVID. I'm going to take over for a second here. We
Uh
did your
oh.
first lesson before COVID, right? That would have been the perfect time to get really freaking good at guitar, and you squandered it. Now you're a statistic. So,
I
okay.
am.
I hope you're happy with that.
Wow, we're gonna end this podcast on Josh is just a giant piece of garbage. I could have had the world by the you know what.
Yep.
Well, look, we gotta wrap this up. I appreciate you taking the time. This has been fun. Again, this podcast. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I can tell you just had fun doing this here. Um, you made the time. We had some really good conversation. It was funny. It was serious. It was deep, and
Mm.
so on and so forth. But the last thing I like to ask my guests are, because sometimes guests are on here, guests would like to promote themselves or they'd like to connect with other people. Would you like people to know more about you and where they could find you, or are you okay with just this podcast being they know it's Jeff Kalmbach and you don't want them to find you?
I'm good with the latter there. Yeah. So,
I had a
yep.
hunch. I had a hunch.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, well, again, I'll say it for like the 700th time. I appreciate you making the time, Jeff. This was a fun podcast. I see in the future you'll probably be a guest again at some other point. But thanks for making the time. Now you probably are going to wish that you shared a little bit about where people can find you once this thing goes viral. But thanks for making the time. This was fun. And have a good night, my friend.
Hey, you too. My pleasure, Josh. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and had a great time. Talk to you
All
soon,
right.
buddy.
Bye,
All right.
everyone.
Bye.
Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by brilliance.